Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel with the latest updates from the British politics and the UK Parliament. It's all kicking off again with the Labour government as 7 of their Labour MPs have now officially been suspended by the Whip's office and Keir Starmer as leader because they've been rebelling against the leadership. In this video, we're going to give you guys all the details and what's going to happen next to the Labour Party. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so yesterday we had a bit of a dramatic day in the House of Commons. In case you don't know, there was a massive debate and a controversial vote on whether to keep the cap on child benefits, because obviously we've had this cap which is essentially 2 kids. If you have 2 kids, as long as you have 2 kids, you get free money from the government. It's nice, isn't it? You get a kid, you get free money. Obviously, then we kind of ran out of money. So the government decided before to put a cap, because some families had like 7 children, and that's just a lot of money every week going to them. But because it's the job of the state to look after kids. And this is just our culture in Western Europe and in the UK. I don't think the Americans 100 years ago, for example, before FDR, would not understand the concept, saying, hang on, if you have a kid, isn't it your job to look after them? Nah. The state will help you. So we have that situation going on. So there was a vote and obviously 103 people, MPs, voted to scrap that cap so that all the kids will get money. But then 363 voted against it. And then there were a number of Labour MPs, because there was a Labour amendment to do this. But the Speaker of the House of Commons, Lindsay Hoyle, who is, by the way, Labour himself, but that's not relevant, decided to actually help Keir Starmer by not picking the Labour motion. Instead, they gave the motion to the SNP. So it was an SNP motion. So Keir Starmer told his Labour MPs, don't support the SNP against me. And they said, we don't care about you, Keir Starmer. You have no authority. What are you going to do about it? They voted against Starmer and they all got suspended. Afsanah Begum is one of them, from Poplar and Limehouse. We've talked about Afsanah a lot on this channel. She's a nutter. Richard Bergen, pro-Palestinian Richard Bergen. From Leeds East, there we have Ian Byrne as well, who's been suspended from Liverpool West Derby. And Imran Hussain from Bradford East. Rebecca Long Bailey from Salford, who was Jeremy Corbyn's pet project. John McDonnell from Hayes and Harlington, of course, best friends to Jeremy Corbyn. And Zara Sultana from Coventry South, another communist. They've all now been suspended, and they're all a little bit shocked and surprised. It's quite interesting that they didn't really believe Starmer would have the authority or show strength against rebellion. Now, objectively speaking, obviously Keir Starmer is in the right, because he told his MPs don't vote against this. But the problem is, should he have picked the right battle? Was it worth it? People say, because there are a number of votes and policies in Parliament regularly that your backbench MPs will rebel against you. Usually if it's something big, that's when you kick them out or you suspend them. Makes sense. Not on everything. This was not a big deal. But people say, well, this was the first challenge and first encounter with the backbenchers, with the left-wing MPs. He had to show authority, and I get that. I do get that. But is it too early to show that authority? Because I'm not really sure if this is going to completely not backfire on him or not, because I think some of these MPs are going to be so angry going forward, slowly, that they're going to be creating more problems for him in the future. And I'm not saying that he should have backed down and should have not done anything. If you have these idiots voting against you and completely basically disrespecting you and saying, yeah, you may be prime minister, but we have no authorities over us. You as party leader, you have to do something. And Starmer did. So well done, Starmer. Something that Rishi Sunak wouldn't have been able to do. But now they're playing victim. This is so interesting. Zara Sultana went on ITV's Good Morning Britain, I think it was that one. She's shocked. She's having a meltdown, saying, I cannot believe I've been treated like this. I'm the victim here. I got a phone call at the end. Watch this.
So there was a vote straight after that main amendment that I had voted for. And then on the way home, when I looked into my emails, that's when I saw the email.
And then she's gone on social media and everything else saying, I cannot believe I've been treated like this. You were warned by the whips, by Keir Starmer as your party leader. You stood on a manifesto pledge. Why am I defending Keir Starmer here? He's right. He's right. There was already a conversation. Obviously, this happened over the child benefits vote, to scrap the cap on two children. But you guys already had this conversation at your Labour conference, at the manifesto meetings. You all agreed, and now you're all having a meltdown, and she's now playing the victim. It's so interesting. It's the same problem that the Islamists have. They start the war, then they lose, then they cry because they're the victims. And then you had Sky News. This actually gets interesting. We criticise the backbenchers because they're a bunch of nutters in defence of Keir Starmer and his authority. Well done, Keir Starmer. But now we're going to criticise Keir Starmer's cabinet. I was about to say shadow cabinet because I've been used to saying that for 14 years. Now, Keir Starmer's cabinet, they're a bunch of cowards. We actually have Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, going into hiding. They are hiding from the media. They're not responding to anything up to a point where Sky News, the liberal mainstream media, Sky News, had to call them out. They were like, it's incredibly disrespectful. Watch this.
What do you make of the Home Secretary running for the Hills this morning and not wanting to explain to us why 7 MPs have had the whip removed from them for now?
Well, exactly as you guys were discussing earlier, I think it seems on given the news flow, and they've given you no explanation, that is exactly what's happening, running for the Hills. And I don't think that sends out a particularly strong message. And it's also, as we know, better than most in this business and the breakfast show, it leaves you hanging without much else to do instead. So it's rather disrespectful on top of that. And again, 3 weeks into the new government, if you're sending a message loud and clear to your own MPs by suspending the whip, you've got to back that message up the following day.
Absolutely.
I don't know what's happening today. First, I had to defend Keir Starmer against these backbenchers, the nutters, rightly so. And now I'm defending Sky News against Keir Starmer's cabinet. Sky News is also right. For once. Because they're angry because Yvette Cooper didn't respond to them. But they are right. Because the cabinet, after suspending their MPs, they basically are hiding. That's not the authority that we were talking about. I just praised the whips and the Prime Minister for being strong enough to not bow down to these communist backbenchers. Well done. But I thought you're going to be strong enough to come out and defend it. Don't run away. You're sending a bad message to all the rebels. You're basically saying, yeah, we suspended you because we were scared, but now we're going to go hide. You're just going to create more rebellions in the future, which is going to be funny because over the next few months, we're going to see more chaos for the Labour government from the Labour backbenchers. Now, they're not going to get any opposition from the Conservative Party. You've already seen it's been 2-3 weeks, and in terms of Parliament itself, it's been 1 or 2 weeks since they've been back. Every time there is a debate between Starmer and Rishi Sunak, between the cabinet and the shadow cabinet, they don't even clash anymore. The Tory side agree with the Labour government. They're always nice and chatty. It's nice to be civilised, but don't agree with everything that the Labour government are doing. There is no opposition coming from the Tories. The Lib Dems agree with the Labour Party. The only real opposition in terms of the big block of MPs actually is coming from the far left backbench MPs of Labour. Now, Reform UK don't have enough MPs to show proper opposition yet. But so the only real opposition is actually coming from the far left and the SNP, obviously. It's sad, but as I said, this is just going to create the domino effect in terms of more problems in the coming months for Keir Starmer as a leader, as a cabinet, because it's not really just about him. The fact that Yvette Cooper is now hiding from the media, that's a little bit weird. And also, it's not really difficult because Yvette Cooper is supposed to be one of the more experienced ones. If you have to send anybody on TV to defend what Starmer did by suspending the 7 MPs for rebellion, send Yvette Cooper on. She's good. She knows how to do media. No, She's washing her hair. I don't know what she's doing. It's so bad. Anyway, super chat time. See what you guys are thinking. Trooper Bear says, more Labour rebels, please. Maybe one a week. If they start rebelling more and more and more, and if Starmer has to suspend every single one of them, by Christmas, you're not going to have any Labour MPs left, apart from the cabinet. Obviously, that's not going to happen, because if they continue to suspend everybody, there will be enough of them left to do a leadership challenge against Starmer. And again, this is, while the Labour government have not really had a honeymoon period, because we have a lot of problems, it's by default a honeymoon period. It's still early days, right? But if Labour will be forced, just like how they've been forced, as a government to govern less left-wing and more centrist, I hate that word, but more moderate or whatever, basically liberal rather than socialist, the more they do these things, the more they're going to anger their socialist MPs, and soon there will be one or two big policies. Now, the child benefit stuff is not really the big one. Some of the Labour MPs are like, oh, what about children? Okay, sure, suddenly you care about children. But there will be one or two big policies coming up. For example, when it comes to border stuff, and the Labour government will have to do something that's slightly more right-wing, at least to be perceived as right-wing. And then there are going to be more rebellions, and eventually, if it doesn't do well in the opinion polls, if he starts going down within 6 months, within a year or whenever, then they're not going to respect him. They're not going to fear him. Right now, rebels, the Labour backbenchers still fear him. They don't respect him, but they fear Keir Starmer because he's doing well in the polls in his early days as Prime Minister. But if he loses the opinion polls, that means he's lost the authority with the public, which will happen eventually, unless somehow he finds a way to govern as the best Prime Minister, which I doubt, but you never know. Then they're going to move against him. Right now, they can't really move against him because they know they'll lose. Still early days. Super chat from Mike saying that they want the cap removed so that Muslims will get more benefits by producing more offspring. Meanwhile, white families don't have bigger families due to high taxes. Yeah, I mean, the white Christian families in Britain, they choose not to have more than one baby, even if they have one baby, because they see it as, there's a lot of cost. They want to take responsibility for the cost of the babies. But of course, not all communities and cultures think this, because if you give more child benefits to the third kid, the fourth kid, the fifth kid, if you're watching this from abroad, the government will literally pay you to have a kid. So, and it's just going to benefit one side. Personal responsibility will help when it comes to finances, but okay. David says a child benefit for 2 children and the 2 children only. I'm not paying for people who don't like us, in some cases hate us. Another one says the funny thing here is that the communists also remember how they got played in Iran. So maybe that's a lesson learned, slowly starting to play out. I don't think they have, actually. I don't know. It's considering the big chunk of people who support the Islamic Republic of Iran are still the leftists across the world. I think they forgot what the Islamists in Iran did to the communists and the socialists and everybody else. I think they have bad short-term memory. And Simon says, right is right, whoever it comes from. You're not defending Starmer, it's them taking the consequences of their actions. Exactly. It felt dirty, me defending Starmer. But it's correct. He had to do something. You can't just, early days, the first rebellion, you can't just allow them to do it, even though it's not really a big policy change. But I think it's the principle that matters. But you can't then show authority, then hide your ministers from going on the media. That's a little bit cowardice. I don't know if they're going to start doing it now, but from this moment I'm talking to you guys, afternoon, 24th of July, that they're still hiding. Maybe in a couple of hours after getting briefed by Labour HQ and Downing Street, they might send them out on media to defend what Starmer did. But it's not really that difficult to defend anyway. He's the Prime Minister and he's their party leader. He told the backbenchers, don't do this, do not support the SNP against me. And they did. He suspended them. He did nothing wrong. It's not really that difficult to defend that position. Cowards. All sides are cowards. Karen says that these illegals are worse than locusts. They come in, they're masses. They escalated from the child benefits to pillage. Take all benefits. Take all housing. They are turning up beautiful country. The thing is, it's not necessarily obviously the mechanism allows them to do it. So the people you have to blame is the state, the governments and politicians, who not only allow people to come in, but they say, if you come in, you're going to get all this stuff for free. So it's still the fault of them. I don't blame people coming from the third world and they found a loophole through France. Then they're going to do it. I don't blame them. They're going to do it. It's not the right thing. But there'll be a lot of people who don't have the same values as us, the same standards when it comes to understanding the rule of law, respecting process, due process. So they're like, well, if that door is open, basically from Calais to Dover, I'm going to go in because the politicians from that country, Britain, told us that they're going to give us free things. So stop the system offering freebies. Doesn't really help. But it's not really just about benefits. It's more comfortable to be here for a migrant. It's a comfortable environment. They are nice to you. The authorities, the Home Office, everybody is nice to you. They don't treat you like an animal. Whereas if they had gone somewhere else, even in France, they are pushed out of France because, the atmosphere is not nice. So it's not really just about benefits that makes this country a magnet. It's just the liberal society that's so nice and welcoming. It's too far, by the way. That is making it attractive. Also, English language is also very important because it's universal and there are a lot of opportunities as well. But we're a soft touch. So we created these ghettos. So as long as they get here and they just go on the map, like, oh, this is the Bangladeshi community. If I just go there, I just need to stay in the area. I'll get free money. I could get a job, maybe cash in hand. I don't even have to speak English because I'm just among my Bangladeshi friends or whatever community. Any other community, really. Anyway, that's happening. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and talk about what's going on in Paris because things are not going too well with the Olympics and the Islamist threats. It's all kicking up there. We'll keep you guys posted. We'll come back in about half an hour to an hour. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.